Thank you all. Because of the paucity of time, we are just straight away moving to the another session, another interesting session, that making of movies through crowdfunding by Mr. Pawan Kumar, of eminent filmmaker, and he will discuss the case study of Lucia. So please don't go away. Please stay with us.
And I was told it would be room 2 with lesser number of people, so now I'm a little nervous for this one. So let's start. So I'm talking about the case study of Lucia, which is a film which just completed 50 days and it's in its 8th week right now, and it's still going strong in multiplexes. So before that, who am I? I'm actually a college dropout. I was doing engineering in 2000 and 2002. I dropped out of my college from telecommunication, and I'm an artist with, I'm sorry, I don't know why they're not playing the, can you switch to the, yeah, all the humor was lost. So I'm an artist with not much of a professional training. I kind of did theater and films from 2000, and everything I've learned is on job. So I come from a very middle class family. Nobody in the family is an artist or has anything to do with art. They're all liars, I mean lawyers. So, and I'm still surviving happily, doing what I like to do, and that's me. Now let's start with the question of why make films. So everything comes back to that question as to why are we doing what we are doing. Yeah, did someone say to make money? No, right? Okay. We make films because we have stories to tell. So that's precisely the reason why I decided to make films, because I like telling stories. So now the question is, what do you need when you are telling a story as a filmmaker? So there are many answers, but I think it comes down to a very basic thing, which is just 2 ingredients that you need to tell a story through films, and that is a filmmaker who's a storyteller as well, and the other ingredient is the audience. So if you have these 2 things, then you're more or less set to tell your story through films. Now, is the art of filmmaking completely independent of audience? Because we hear at least the beginners who say that I make films for myself. I think any form of art, as soon as you do it, you're making it with the point of view of showing it to somebody else. There's always an audience. Even if you're painting something, you never kind of hide it. You always show it to a friend at least. So I think the answer is no. When you're making a film, you're definitely making it for somebody to see it. So audience becomes an important part of the thing. So when the filmmaker and the audience are married well, then it's a commercial hit. Otherwise, it's a commercial flop. So I thought this is like the best example to bring it out. So how to reach these audience, right? Because we figured, are the most important part of our art of storytelling. So I think this is how generally everybody looks at the film industry and the audience. If you're looking at product making company and the consumers, this is how it's looked at. But the truth is that it's not like that, it is like this, wherein there are filmmakers of different tastes and there are audience of different tastes, right? So it's not just a bunch of filmmakers and just a bunch of audience. So what happens is, now with these audience of different tastes and these filmmakers with different tastes, how do we connect these 2? So it comes to that ideally there's a film industry which has stars, producers, and distributors, and their job is to take the filmmaker's product and deliver it to the audience, correct? So this is how it works. So in any ideal scenario, let's say a filmmaker with green taste, the one who makes green kind of films. So he gives his films to the film industry. They take it and deliver it to the right audience, and hopefully to some more new audience. So ideally, this is how a system has to be working. But in the current situation, the industry is only able to handle a certain kind of films and only a certain kind of audience, right? So when this is happening, the film is a hit, and everyone is happy because the filmmaker is making money, the audience got the kind of film they want. But what about all these filmmakers? And what about all these audience? So how do you make films from this filmmaker, the blue, yellow, red, and how do you reach out to these audience? Because these audience don't really like the kind of films that's made there. So I think what's actually happening even now is, because the setup is only able to handle a certain kind of films and a certain kind of audience. Let's say the guy who makes I wouldn't say blue films, but the guy with the taste, because it's color represented there. So he makes a film and he gives it to the industry, and that industry again delivers it to the same audience, right? So that is what is happening, and it ideally should be going to that audience, but that's not is what is happening. So what happens is that film is declared as a flop. It need not be a bad film. It could be a great film, but because it is reaching out to a different sect of audience, it becomes a flop. And I think from 120 films that we make a year, I think only 10% of success rate is found, because if you see, these two boxes are really small, and most of the audience are out of that box. So mostly a director is always looking for his audience and is eventually given this award, no matter how good a film he makes, right? So, but that film eventually actually gets to the targeted audience through television and DVD, and they say, wow, it's such a great film, we should have seen it in the theater. But by that time, what does a producer do and what does a filmmaker do? Because he's declared flop. Now, the result of this scenario is that the producers, distributors, and the stars have controlling the film content. I don't blame them, because they know what is working in the market. And I think being aware of the market of film business is extremely important. If a producer says, I'm putting in 3 crores, then he has to get back his 3 crores. There's no way you can, and he has to that way then sign up a star, then make films which reaches out to the market, the statistics which is showing that. And I think this has also led to extremely unfair pay scales, because those filmmakers and those actors who can reach out to those audience get paid the most, and not the rest who are equally working hard. We are losing a large percentage of our audience. If you see all these audience on the side, they're not even watching Kannada films, or I'm just talking in our scenario. And we are losing all these talents who are on this side of the screen, because they don't get to make the film. And when you lose a good chunk of audience and good chunk of talent, the language is also fading away because of that. Because only a certain kind of language is selling at the market. And I think if you look at the audience who's there, 80% is not watching, which means that's actually untapped business. They will watch films if you just make these filmmakers make the film. So all this has led to a drop in the quality of the films that we make, because we are only catering to a certain section of the audience. Now the question is, how did this affect me, right? Because I'm pretty selfish, so unless it affects me, I won't come up with a solution for it. So these are the kind of films and theater work that I made. If you look at the posters, you can see that they don't sell, right? So Life Ishtene, which I directed, or Manasare, which I wrote, Pancharangi, which I wrote, all of them, though they had Yogaraj Bhatt's brand name and everything, but the industry never considered them as the big hits. They were average hits. It was never Jackie. It was never Sarathi, the kind of money that those films can make. So eventually the director, though it's Yogaraj Bhatt, is told that, make it a little more commercial. Like after Life Ishtene, they told me, only if you had like a few more fights, if it was easy to reach out to the audience. So you're constantly told by the industry that this is the kind of film you have to make, because that is the kind of audience who are watching it. So, but I don't know how to make those kind of films. So I had to deal with my inability, disability, whatever you call it. So the question is, how do I survive in this market? Either the option was to, go away to another industry which probably encourages talent like this, or go do another job. And I was very seriously thinking of an ad job after Life Ishtene. So I said, okay, anyway, I have everything, nothing to lose at this point. So let's do everything, like die with some honored sorts. So that's when I started working backwards. Okay, so this is our market. And this is where I think the numbers, I've just pulled it out from the internet. If 6 crore people are there in Karnataka, I was told that a big hit like Mungaru Malai in theater were watched by 15 to 20 lakh. And a very average hit like Life Ishtene or Pancharangi is only seen by 4 to 5 lakh of that 6 crores in the theater. So if that's the market that we are trying to reach out, now I can't reach out 15 to 20 because they won't like films that I make. I can reach out to 4 to 5 lakh, but they don't give enough money to make another film. So that was the first problem that I figured. And the next was that if I'm the big F circle that you see, the filmmaker, then I saw that I am sitting amidst a cluster of audience, and these audience have different tastes, right? So my job was to connect to those audience who like my films. Now, how do you find these audience in a cluster which is so random and chaotic? which is you basically create these clusters. So every filmmaker and his audience should somehow find these clusters, and that's the best way to, marriage good cinema or your kind of cinema with your kind of audience. And if you think of it on a global scale, they are spread across the world. They are not in Karnataka alone. So this is the few findings that I did. So now I have to connect to that one guy who's in North America, to somebody in Australia, to somebody in Africa, and they're all there. They are all my audience, but they're just geographically placed elsewhere. So I came up with this idea of audience films, which is basically independent film production model. And then I also came up with the idea of home talkies, which is the independent film distribution model. And I thought on paper that if I work these two things out, then maybe I can reach out to my audience. So the solution was simply this, that we would connect the audience and filmmakers in a completely different way ourselves, instead of going through an industry or the set norms or the traditionally practiced norms. So the benefit of this was that the filmmaker is directly collaborating with his audience alone. We are always under the pressure that whenever you're making, let's say, a film like Lunchbox in Karnataka, how do you add an item number in that? It's impossible, because the business says that you have to add it, otherwise people won't, the other sector won't come in and watch it. The truth is that you're not making this film for that other sector, you're making it for a completely different kind of audience. So you have to now find a way to reach those audience. And this system that we created was independent of producers, distributors, and stars, because the filmmaker is directly working with his audience, that's it. And so the audience also decide the quality of the film that they want to collaborate with. Because now let's say the audience with a yellow taste can choose to work with the filmmaker with a yellow taste. So they are making, the filmmaker is also happy because he's getting to make his film. The audience is happy because they're getting to watch the film they like. And eventually the revenue that is earned in all this is shared with the audience who are going to actually produce this film. So this is how it was on paper for me. So how it works, I'll do a very quick presentation of this. So there's a filmmaker who submits his film idea, a proposal, or a pitch to Audience Films, and then we share it with our audience database. Out of that, maybe one sect of the audience like the filmmaker or his pitch, and they say, okay, we are going to micro-fund, give you small amounts of money to do this film, which comes to Audience Films, which we again give it to the filmmaker to make the film completely free. There is no restriction on the script. Then he gives us the film. Using home talkies, we give it theatrical, satellite, everything, and return the money back to those people who had given the film, who had given the funds. So this was the blueprint of how we did Lucia. So how does this model promise good films? Now, good films is again subjective. Like I said, if you want an apple, you put an apple seed. If you want an egg, you take care of a hen. So the kind of filmmaker or the films you want, you choose to only fund them, not everybody else. What is this? Any answers? What is this picture representing? Social network? Internet, yes. So, and I had no money to do everything that I said so far, because I don't come from a rich family which can, put in the, or raise enough capital to do it. So I said, let's use internet, which is free, which is $800 a month, which is unlimited from BSNL. So all I did was I used internet to get all of this done. And now the question is it possible? When I had it all in my head, as I said, I had nothing to lose. So I said, let's keep doing it. So the first thing is then, I remembered how I did this play in 2002, which is when I was 20. The play was called Final Rehearsal. Now let's look at it as a product. Okay, so what was the product I was trying to sell? So at 20, I was trying to sell myself as an actor. So I thought I was a very talented actor and somebody should cast me and give me jobs. But nobody used to cast me, and there was no budgets either. So in theater, there's no budgets anyway. So the challenge was this, that no one used to cast me. And I was mad enough to go ahead and find a solution, which was that let's do a one-man show, because then I'll be on stage all by myself, no competition for an hour. And I said, let's write and direct it myself, because I can't pay anybody else to do it. And because I didn't have money, I used a chair, just one chair, which is still lying in my house, and got it all very creative, used lighting and everything. The result of this was that it won the Best Actor Award. It went to Mumbai, and it was appreciated for the minimalistic, production values, but high on creativity. So this happened when I was 20, and when I was thinking of Lucia, I was 30. So 10 years after that experience, I said, okay, it's the same thing. Now I have a product to sell, which was a very kick-ass script. And then the challenge was that no one was willing to produce it, and again, no budgets to make the film. So I actually did the same thing that I did 10 years ago. And the solution that I figured was, let's crowdfund the money and let's produce it ourselves and let's work with new talent to do this film. And eventually, the result has been a winner all the way along for the last 2 years. So, thank you. So now let's see what is Lucia, and as the topic says, it's a case study on how this whole film was done. And I'll be rushing a bit. I have 80 slides to show so that we can also do a Q&A. And you'll be shocked at the amount of information that is transparently available through this presentation or through website. So the first thing, I wrote a Project Lucia blog, which you're seeing on the left is a snapshot from my blog. I just put up all the details saying why a film should be made like this in Kannada. And I did this in Feb 2012, and I said I need crowdfunding. I need 50 lakh to make this film. And this proposal went extremely viral on Facebook. When I say viral on Facebook, people started sharing this link. People whom I've never met and known, they said this is a new change. And Lucia was at that point tagged as the next change. So that I think the wordings also helped. And people connected to it immediately. And so how did the audience react? The first thing is I was bombarded with emails for that 1 month. 30,000 visitors visited my blog for that particular 30 days. 800 emails which I personally answered during those 27 days that we raised the fund. My bank account was frozen because they thought I was a terrorist. Money was coming in from all countries. Then I said I'm a filmmaker, and they had more doubts after that. So finally, there were many detractors online who would always try to spoil the idea. I think any big idea is always found that. And one of the most amazing discoveries is that within 10 days of raising funds, we had raised about 8 lakh or something. So there was one guy who wrote a blog or a mail which was trying to say that how this whole idea was a scam. And he was passing it around. I have no idea who that guy is. I don't know why he was so jealous of us doing it. But he started passing it around on the internet. And then I saw that there was a slow growth in funds which suddenly dropped. So 4 or 5 days later, when I thought, okay, this is it, crowdfunding won't work, a friend sent me that mail and said, look, this is what is being passed around. So at that point, what I did was I took that mail and published it on the Lucia website. You know, usually you try to hide these things, right? So instead, I published the mail, and I answered each of those questions. And as soon as I answered, in the next 5 days, we had 15 more lakhs coming into the account. So I guess the whole, and we told people that, look, whenever you have a doubt, ask us. Because our conscience was very clear. We are not trying to take money and run away with it. We just want to make a film. And because of, I would really thank that guy who tried to spoil it, because it's only because of him the money was raised so fast. So eventually, after so many mails, 110 strangers from across the globe came forward, and we raised 51 lakh in 27 days. I had given myself 100 days to complete it. I thought I'll take 100 days, and if I don't raise the money, then I'll return whatever has come. So though we had said that we need only 50 lakh, 51 came in because at the last hour, everyone wanted to be the last 25,000. And at the same time, 5 people deposited 25 and became 51 lakh. So, and okay, though the Digant photo is an old picture there, he is not part of the project. The rest, there is Shashidhar Adappa and the rest of the people that you see, they're all new talents. Or talents who said, we will help you in the film. Like Shashidhar Adappa said that, you know, you can take everything that we have for free when he heard how I was doing the film. So this is how I started, took every department. Like the girl with the glasses is a stylist who's never worked in a Kannada film industry, but he's an educated, trained stylist. The girl here is a costume designer. So I went only for people who were good at their jobs and who had trained themselves with passion. And we took 65 days to shoot the film, but spread over a year, because we had to get a lot of things either as a sponsor or as a free thing or as a favor. So I would say Lucia is a crowd-funded and as well as a crowd-sourced film. So if I need a vehicle, I would put up on my Facebook saying I need a car to shoot this scene, and I would get mail saying use my car, this is how my car looks, it's available for so and so many days, houses, everything. So everything became crowd-sourced. And digital revolution, because we shot the whole thing with a Canon 5D, that's what we could afford with the budgets that we had. And we did complete post-production in Bangalore. Unlike what, like even my own Life Ishtane was done in Chennai. But I thought that this film has to somehow work on resources that we have in our own state. So including DI to post-production to VFX, everything was done in Bangalore. That was a conscious decision. So now let's come to the marketing strategies. I wouldn't say that everything was, ideated, that we are so brilliant that we thought of all the marketing strategies. We were constantly honest with our troubles, with our audience, So we would keep telling them that this is what we are trying to do, and we would try to involve them. But now when you look back, it could all look like it was all helping in marketing. So let's see, that blue thing that you're seeing is actually the world map, is a snapshot of the Google Analytics. That's the countries where people have actually logged into lucyadafilm.com and seen or read about it. So except some parts of Africa you see and Greenland, everybody has actually from that country got to see or read about Lucia. The first thing that I did was I said, let's do t-shirts, because they're the best walking, talking posters that you can come up with. And this was even before I started shooting. And I think one of the ideas that we did, rather than, I told the audience that you design the t-shirt. So we didn't design the t-shirt. So on Facebook, we put up a campaign saying anybody can now design a Lucia t-shirt, and you know what the project is like. The t-shirt which gets the maximum number of likes, or which is the most popular, will get printed eventually. So there were, I think, about 50 to 60 people who made their t-shirt designs, and because we said you have